Okay, everybody. So we are back with the first of two podcasts you guys are getting this week, and today we're going to be discussing, in this one exclusively, just Captain Marvel. So it is the Spoilercast. Hopefully you've seen the movie if you're tuning in for this. If you haven't,
sorry.
I don't know what else to go with. You should probably not listen to this, but there you go. So as always, this is Armin. You guys can find me at Arminis and at Comic Book Cast, and I'm here with Mitch.
What's up? You can find me at Mitch692.
Also Tristan.
Hey guys, you can catch me at IsJChance.
And Shay.
Hey guys, you can find me at Mache1602.
Yep. So yeah, Captain Marvel. First, let's just open up so we don't have to talk about this in the main show, I guess. We're just rolling into one. The box office.
Yes.
It kind of blew away all expectations.
When we did the show last week, who said 155?
You're hoping
No.
I remember it, but
I'm pretty certain it was
You wrote
me.
it down
I'm pretty
somewhere.
sure it was you, yeah, and then it was
So,
me with the 45 and Tristan 35, so...
So I'll gladly take this one.
Uh-huh.
Just because you said you didn't think it was going to happen, but you're going to take it anyway.
Don't matter. I got the number right. Winning's winning. I got it.
So, I mean, worldwide, in 4 days, $500 million.
Yep.
So,
It's an impressive flop. I've never seen a movie flop like that before.
this is the... Disney, literally now, is just gonna fire Brie. They got nothing here.
Yeah. She's clearly getting recast because she's she's
I also heard Disney was paying all the theaters because they needed to fluff the numbers.
That's true, too.
Yeah, okay. One thing, like, when we first saw it opening night, we were very surprised that besides Avengers, this was the fullest our theater has been for any comic book movie.
Yep, like, this was... Like, literally one notch below Avengers. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be big. Like,
all my cinemas are sold out. Mm-hmm. I was talking to people in the Discord. It's like I never pre-book tickets. I think the only time I've done it is for the Star Wars movies. This one, it's like, oh, there's nothing. Like everything within like a 30-mile radius of me is just sold out. It's
and
nuts.
the thing is, there was two narratives forming. People were taking pictures of empty theaters, but I'm like, I want to know how this is empty when there's nothing on the screen visibly playing. You clearly got here way ahead, and like,
or it's not dark.
Right, matter. And like when we got to our theater, it was like maybe 5 people.
Yeah.
But we were also there 2 hours early because we always, the theater knows we're coming, and there's like a giant group of us. It's like,
and we always cosplay. And...
So it kind of got big, right? The last 30 minutes filling up, and I was just like, okay, this is going to be big. And the box office numbers are clearly, like, indicative of this movie's success any way you look at it, so...
I was say, it's tripled its budget. It's been pure profit.
Yeah, pure profit in 4 days.
Like, it could have the biggest drop-off in, like, it could beat BVS's, like, 70% drop-off. It's still making profit.
I mean,
there's
right
no
now,
way to, like... actually twist it.
Right, and they're saying it's on a way to $1 billion. So that's way.
To be fair, it was on its way to $1 billion when it opened to 20 million on Thursday.
True. And
that's a pretty like consistent trait, especially the Marvel ones. It's like Civil War 20 million, or it wasn't quite 20. I think it was over it, and then like Black Panther 25. Like,
I mean, obviously, second weekend as we're going into is going to be the big one, but off of the box office, I guess let's get into the movie itself. Before we actually start it, let's just kind of go around and talk about kind of general impression and what you thought of it. You don't even have to score; you can just kind of describe it if you don't want to score it. So, Mitch, what's your take on this?
Right. Well, I've seen it twice now. I saw it the second time yesterday. The first time I watched it, I found it really weird. I enjoyed it, but like the whole structure of everything, it was not jarring, but it kind of stopped me from really getting into it at first. Second time, I enjoyed it a lot better because you know what to expect.
Yep.
But I don't know. I understand what people are saying about this, and to an extent, I can kind of agree. But for the most part, it didn't really affect how I liked the movie. I think Brie nailed Carol, hands down.
Yep.
The Skrulls, I like the Skrulls. It's a different take. I don't get people saying like they're gonna not do Secret Invasion from it. That's a bit of a dumb thing, personally. But the Kree villain wise as well. I find it weird. It's not really a villain.
Yeah.
It's an odd situation for me. Well, like you could say Yon-Rogg and the intelligence of the villains, but I don't know. They didn't really like play on a villain angle, but overall, I really enjoyed it. It's not like, well, I don't know if it's like a top tier at the minute because I haven't ranked the Marvel movies in years, but it's probably looking maybe just outside the top 10, if not in the top 10.
Okay,
I'd reckon, but that's what I put it.
Tristan, your feelings on the film?
It was good. I could see where everyone said like it felt like a Phase 1 movie. I mean, it's not bad. It was good in my eyes. I did like all the 90s callbacks, like from just watching the movie. Even like I had to explain to my mom and dad because even back in the 90s they weren't like tech savvy or anything like that. So seeing all that stuff growing up, that's how I felt. It was funny. I did like Bree. Scrolls, they were good because like not all of one race is evil, so it is understandable from that angle. And just like the Kree, not all of them are good. So from when people are saying that they're not, picturized how they are in the comics, but the thing is, not everyone is set to be the good guy, and not everyone is set to be the bad guy.
Yeah. So I guess I'll go next. I kind of ranked it after the second time I watched it. I'm going to mirror what Mitch said. The second time, I had a way better time because the first thing that kind of caught me off guard that was jarring was the way they, like, probed her memory. I thought that was handled very weird and, like, very early. It was kind of like, oh my god, they're just kind of jumping around with this origin story trying to feed us this. But the second time, knowing what was coming and how it actually builds up to her overcoming the Supreme Intelligence, I thought that was kind of really smart. I really liked Bree. I've never really enjoyed her in a movie that I've seen before, so it was kind of like I don't know what to take or make of her performance. Really enjoyed it. Probably like on par with most of the Marvel castings. Nothing disappointing. I thought she did great, and she's only going to get better. I really liked what they did with the Kree and the Skrulls. I know I might be in the minority there to really like it, but they showed that not all Kree on Hala are evil. Like, a lot of them are just going about their business. And, you see, the Skrulls, they're evil. Look at these posters and things that are shifting. Like, anybody could be a Skrull. You don't know. Like, they play a little bit into that, and that's my biggest complaint. We didn't get enough time on Hala to actually understand who the Kree fully are, which I think they'll address in the sequel when we talk about that. But I love the Skrulls from start to finish. Their dynamic, like how they were played up and how they're not the bad guys, which I was hoping they would take that route the entire time. I knew they were going to be in the movie, so...
They also lay seeds for a Super Skrull.
Yep, exactly. I think this movie, and the way I kind of mirror it is, it's not the best in the MCU. I might not put it in the top 10 out of 21 movies, but that's still, not bad. But the thing is, I enjoy it the same way I enjoy Doctor Strange and... like the first Ant-Man and Captain America 1, it's a lot of necessary character building to a sequel that's inevitably going to surpass most of the films in the series. So, I really enjoyed it. That's all I can really say about it until we get into the little details in it. It just, it was way better than I thought it was going to be, but it also didn't live up to how, I thought it was going to go. But that's maybe just because I was expecting some other stuff, but... yeah,
this is why you don't have expectations.
Exactly. That's exactly.
You gotta live in the hype, man.
I know. And then I guess Shay, what was your take?
I absolutely loved the movie. Going into it, I only know the basics of Carol because of the fact that there's a million different ways she's gotten her powers. There's like different types of stories.
Just quickly, right there, Mitch. Like they've done the life of Carol recently, and then they changed it again.
They done the life of Captain Marvel recently. It doesn't really change how the original origin went. It just adds... It builds on a twist that Claremont set up. But they didn't even address that in this movie. And they're going like, this is going to be tied into the movie. It's like, you lied.
Yeah, I know. They completely...
Now, the only major change, really, from the comics is that it's the Tesseract, not the Psych Magnetron.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part, it sticks to it. They play on the whole fact that, she doesn't really know who she is. Like, Captain Marvel and Carol were two different people at one point.
Right. And we'll actually end up talking about the Tesseract in just a little bit for those wondering. So, okay, Shay, now you can continue since you mentioned her origin.
Thank you. But yeah, no, I really liked it. Going into it, I just really wanted the movie to be not what everybody was thinking it was going to be. Everybody was like, oh, she's not going to smile. She's not going to be happy. She's not going to do this. She's not going to do that, because there was so much hatred going into this movie. I was so happy when the first 10 minutes, here's Brie as Carol being this little snarky girl who's like, I can do this. I just need to believe, basically, in myself. And I really like that particular aspect of her character, that she's been somebody who's tied down. She's had everything ripped away from her, and now she's having to overcome so much, and it makes it a lot more powerful of a movie when you stop and you think of everything that she's attempting to go through. And that's what I really enjoy about a lot of the first movies that come into any of the Marvel movies, that the first one is so much of the character being built, and this was a phase 1 movie. You can clearly feel that. It's just took a lot of time because of Spider-Man. But I feel like if this movie came out when it was originally supposed to, it wouldn't have done as well. The Skrull, I really liked the fact that it shows how true things happen when it comes to war, that both sides are not always right and not both sides are always wrong. So I really liked how they did that, and I really liked how they transformed. That was a really cool thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. Second time, I liked it a lot better. And it wasn't in 3D.
Yeah, the 3D, which the 3D wasn't even bad. So,
No.
I guess now let's talk about some of the elements of the movie. So let's just start with something that was already brought up, the Tesseract. I know there's a lot of people online complaining that it broke continuity, and I'm just like, it literally did not at all.
It's like, I get people haven't like, they're kind of forgotten Project Pegasus. That was around in like Iron Man 2.
Yeah, it's opening of the Avengers. It's Project Pegasus. Like,
it's the same base in this as well from the start. So it's like, no, they've always had it. This is how they got it. Well, not how they got it, but you know. It's like, but Howard Stark pulled it out of the ocean. It's like, yeah, and it never left S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
Apart from when, to be fair, Lawson took it into orbit, but you know, it's still.
But it made it back to the facility where they kept, a tab on it. Which I honestly like, because the Tesseract seems to be getting a lot of play in the MCU. It's like the most important thing apparently in there. It's like,
I mean, like, I understand why, because if you go, you're setting this film in the 90s of this universe, so that was the first thing we had. So it's obviously, it's going to have to get a lot of play. Especially if you do things like after this, like in the 70s or whatever, it's going to have to get a lot of play because, S.H.I.E.L.D. had it, but...
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Tesseract, that's really not anything, so we're just going to kind of move past that. Let's talk about the villain. So, Yon-Rogg ended up being the villain.
Or a villain.
A villain, yeah.
More the Supreme.
Him and his Supreme Intelligence. Clearly, this was all set up for the sequel. Like...
yeah, it felt like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when she leaves him alive at the end.
Yep.
And just sends him off. It's like, yeah, sequel, babe.
So... This is actually, during that part, I actually looked at Shay, because, right at the end, and I appreciate the movie more than if they took a typical route, because I was expecting, the cynical mind of me was expecting, oh god, no, she's gonna, DBZ fight him or something, and I was completely gonna ruin it. And then she does what Peter Quill does in Guardians 1, which is, to this day, one of the best things in a comic book movie ever. I will argue this to the end of time with you. He uses his brain, and he has a dance-off to distract. She literally just punches him once and goes, no, you lose. I'm better than you. I overcame my thing.
I have nothing to prove to you.
I love that line so much.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Some people didn't, get that. It's like, she won. She doesn't need to, beat him to a pulp or kill him to prove a point.
It's like, his whole theme of the movie was about manipulation and control.
Yep.
And, he's telling her, you have to beat me one-on-one. She doesn't have to do that. You don't have to play by the villain's rules.
And also, her listening to him and being like, oh, I'll take your order. Sure, I'll do this, I'll do that. And finally, at the end, she's like, I just overcame the thing that's supposed to hold me down and binds me, because that's what you've taught me this entire time. why do you think I'm going to listen to you when you're nothing compared to the supreme intelligence?
Exactly.
Like,
you know, the Kree essentially are gaslighters. Like, a major thing of this movie is about gaslighting. It's like, oh, we gave you this, we can take that away. You're nothing without this. Look what you were before. And it's like, well, no, you're twisting what I actually was before to, you know.
You guys held me back this entire time because you were afraid of what I can do with this power. Yeah, I really like, though, that it was because of her memories that allowed her to kind of overcome, and it's really powerful when you stop and think about it. Like, a lot of people have bad, messed up paths and pasts, and if they're able to sit there and overcome and learn from their past, they can become stronger people, and that is what Carol showed. She overcame everything that her past did to her and created her to be, like, this supreme being. And I love how when she unlocked finally her powers, that you can tell she was at first like, oh wow, I'm a lot more powerful than I thought, because she kept getting thrown back.
So I really like that about that scene. It's like people going, oh, she's a Mary Sue, she does this and that. It's like, well, you know, like the movie tells you a lot of stuff about her. But like it says, she's been training for 6 years. She knows how to use her powers. We've seen before that she knows she can use them to maybe push herself forward. And then when she takes the regulator off, she's essentially a bit like the Hulk. She's not really that defined in how she uses them. She's just throwing herself about.
She's been training at half power for what, 6 years? And when she finally takes out the training wheels, she kind of doesn't know how to, you know, test how far she can go without hurting herself.
She has that slight adjustment period now. She's been using 50% of everything, going to 100. It's probably not that much different. He's just adjusting to it.
I was talking with Shay right about this after the second time we watched it. Between the ending of this movie and Endgame, right? There's 20 plus years of her character growth, and another movie that's most likely going to take place in the middle there to show us what really happened to the Kree, Ronin, and Korath and all that. It's kind of going to be like how the Russos did Doctor Strange. He shows up and does 15 spells. She's going to show up in Endgame and going to make what she does in this movie look like child's play.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like everyone says, oh, the Russos always do everyone so much better. Like, yes, they do, but you kind of have to realize that's because they have like years jump so they can justify changing things. Now, Doctor Strange had 4 years in universe between his movie and Infinity War? Carol's got 25.
Yeah.
Like, she's not, you know, you can tell it, like, spoilers for the end credit scene, she's not the same person.
Nope.
So she's clearly going to be different. You know, maybe she's not going to be drastically different in character, but like everything else,
It's kind of expected with that 25 years she'd be experimenting with what she can do. So
exactly.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, yeah. There's a lot of stuff. What other spoilery aspects do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about my favorite aspect of, honestly, the entire thing was the relationship with Monica and Maria. I wanted more of that.
Monica and Carol.
Well, I mean, all the kid. What was the kid's name?
The kid is Monica, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just thought you got Monica confused with Carol for a second.
No, I keep confusing them because I know they swapped the names in the damn movie.
Yeah, Monica's the daughter.
That's Monica Rambeau is Spectrum. They haven't swapped the names.
Yep. That's where I was going with that. I was like, wait a second, because they got to also introduce possibly her in the sequel, maybe with powers. I don't know.
Like, I don't know where the second one's gonna go. Like, do you do a prequel?
I think it's still gonna be a prequel.
Yeah.
Because they need to talk about how she was able to help the Skrull, how she's going to be the story on why Ronin is no longer a part of the Kree Empire and he's an outcast.
Fanatic.
But do you do a straight prequel, or do you do one of those like half and halves? Kind of like how this one was. Like, you keep a similar structure, maybe tighten it up a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
Because then you're just kind of like following Wonder Woman completely. Like, it's bad enough we've got 2 prequels as it is. Like,
yeah. I don't know, both ways, maybe do a split again, because this movie had a unique structure as well, so...
I can see it being potentially, because how they were talking about Carol and Monica, how Monica's like, maybe I'll build a spaceship, and she's like, yeah, he doesn't know that you could do that. So possibly maybe she gets stuck in time. She does build a spaceship when she's older, and then that's where the time jump starts, is... Carol finds her
rescuing her or something.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna, I bet you in Endgame they're gonna keep it very like saying where she was,
it.
you know? It's like, and if she's, you know, ever met Thanos or something before, maybe there'll be a little line in there that kind of sets it up. It's like, they're going to keep that under wraps for obviously whatever they want to do with the sequel, so...
All you're going to get is like, I spent 25 years getting the scrolls back together for you to get half of them dusted.
Yeah.
No, what the hell? Do your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I do wish that we can kind of get in the sequel, Armin and I talked about it just really briefly, when Fury sat there and thought of the Avengers name because of Carol was called Captain Carol Avenger Danvers. And I really want her to sit there and be like, you're the ones who took my name?
Yeah.
You just got the universe dusted and you took my name.
Or just something like Fury's not that original.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow, he did that.
Mm-hmm.
I loved their mentality together. And
they were so good.
Their dynamic was fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the buddy cop aspect to the whole dynamic that they had.
Yeah. They worked very well together.
Yeah.
I mean,
what like,
oh yeah, what do you guys think about how Fury lost his eye?
boo!
I love it.
Nope.
I liked it personally, but people were saying it's stupid.
So I understand completely why people don't like it. It's so mundane and it's slightly pathetic how he lost his eye.
That's exactly what it is for me.
That's exactly the point.
But that's also like everybody sat there and was like, oh, the moment they found out Goose was going to be in the movie, everybody said Goose is going to do it. And then everybody's like, no, it's going to be a Skrull. But he even states, I trusted someone once before.
But it's a fucking cat.
Well, it's not just a
cat person in the movie. He
right.
trusted the cat.
He does say, the last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. Yes.
Yep. And he also sat there and said, I'm going to trust you not to eat me.
Exactly.
So
right? Avengers 1, he lies to everyone about Coulson and those cards.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's Fury's entire... At the end of this movie, he lies to Coulson about exactly what happened.
Yeah.
It's what Nick Fury does to motivate
I just
people.
thought it was kind of like something maybe a little bit more heroic, and what kind of like... It makes me think that they maybe went back and reshot that after the meme went viral.
No,
I don't know. There's pictures out there of... Hell, even a Captain Marvel art book thing, it shows Nick Fury's Skrull form, and like... I'm just
yeah, but that could have just literally been a replacement for Coulson being a Skrull.
Yeah, true.
They could have played it off that way, or even like Mendelsohn being the Skrull.
I don't know. Just I didn't like it.
That, like, I don't think it could have been heroic because it's like it's just the fact that it's how he manipulates people. It's so in character and so mundane to have him give that change. Like,
we have the original window display poster of the Avengers, and I sat there and I looked at it. I'm like, no, it's clearly a scratch. Like, it is there's nothing else that could have created that type of scratch.
So it's
on
just
his
3
face.
lines, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's perfect straight. I think it's 4 straight lines, which is how a cat's claws are.
Yeah.
So it's that perfect thing.
My hope was like maybe it was like T'Chaka when he tried to enter Wakanda. It was like, you don't belong here.
It would have been his whole face.
Okay, no, he turned into like a panther or something and scratched his eye. I don't care. It was just like,
Well, every aspect about it, because like you sit there and you look at a cat's claws and a panther. A panther's hand is like 4 times.
I was gonna say it would
the
be his
size.
entire face.
okay, look, it was a baby panther. What do you want from me? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm spitballing or something else.
It's like I completely understand why people don't like it and whatever. I think it's too clever for me not to like it personally.
I mean, I don't outright just completely hate it, but I'm just like, I wish there was something
else.
more heroic,
Yeah.
like.
But I think that's what Fury would want. I think like that's the exact mindset Fury would have, and that's why he lies about everything.
Yeah, and it makes sense though, because that's how Fury is. Fury is so secretive about things that he wants to make it look like he's the most badass guy in the world, and he's not. He got attacked by a cat that's technically not a cat. The cat can eat anything it wants, basically. So he survived Goose. Just got a scratch.
He's badass now.
You can even see like in his personality when Carol asks, "Does everyone call you Fury?" And he says, "Yes, even my mother calls me Fury."
What about your kids? Well, if I had kids, they'd call me Fury.
Yeah. I just want to chat saying that Fury was like great in Winter Soldier, but it's turned into a joke. I don't think it's turned him into a joke. It's made it. That's how he gets to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's that way because of this, because it's such a mundane, jokey thing to happen to you. He's like, it's a bit kind of embarrassing, but it's like, no, let's use this in my favor, and that's what Fury does.
Yeah. And it's also, you have to realize this is in the 90s, and then
it's also 25 years or like 20 odd years prior to that Nick Fury, so it hasn't turned him into anything.
He has seen so much shit in between these years that it's crazy. Because Fury's gone from Skrull invasion to seeing Carol Danvers, and that's his first glimpse of, oh god, things outside of Earth are going to attack us. Then he sits there and he finds Thor and sees everything Loki can do.
I'm guessing there's going to be a little bit more that they add in between the years, just with the sequel. I mean,
one thing that I told Armin, I'm like, we have to rewatch the Avengers movies, because Fury states something in Avengers 1 when Captain America's going around and looking in the helicarrier and finds the weapons. He's like, I thought we were supposed to do this. Here you are with weapons. What are we doing? And Fury's like, it's because of him. I'm wondering if he stated that because he's trying to keep Carol quiet, if that's how they're going to kind of
like a
rewrite
secret
it.
weapon.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
it's also using the same objects that gave Carol her powers.
Yeah. Because
So
it's all the
it kind
Tesseract
of
technology.
Yeah. And also, we have to remember, you got to keep remembering, people always forget this, Hydra runs S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah.
They were running
Yeah,
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
yeah.
so secrets are plentiful in there, so...
Also, fun fact, in Age of Ultron, Fury has a diagonal bit of toast and breaks it in half.
Amazing. Continuity. So, with that in mind,
know that.
we'll come back with more Captain Marvel when we do the audio commentary, inevitably.
Just before we finish, I think
Uh-huh.
we have to kind of address the start.
Oh, boy. Okay.
The whole Stan Lee stuff.
Okay. Oh!
And the cameo as well, because like
You're gonna make me cry again.
The cameo, I thought, was all right, but the opening was perfect.
This is my favorite Stan Lee cameo, purely because like not just because it's that Kevin Smith thing, but it's actually using the audio from Mallrats. Like Feige called Kevin up and was like, he's not in the best shape. Have you got any like the ADR stuff? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because
like,
I think it was Kevin said like they had when Feige had like a bunch of takes that they couldn't really use.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
And also, it's the first time in one of these movies Stan Lee is just Stan Lee.
Stan Lee, right? Yep.
Yeah.
And it just works. Like I don't know, it's my favorite one.
Yeah. And I think it was at the beginning in my theater, everyone was clapping once they saw.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Once saw Stan.
Everybody, the moment it turned into Stan, you heard everybody lose their breath. You heard everybody go and just cry out.
From what I heard, because I tried to ignore what it was, because everybody was talking about, everybody cried, everybody teared up. I assumed it was the Marvel logo, and then it would turn into like "Thank you, Stan Lee" instead of the Marvel Studios logo. That was my assumption, but just seeing that all his cameos were part of that intro was like, oh my god.
It also really, it took me a couple of seconds to figure out what changed.
Yep, same.
It's just like, what? I was like, it's Stan Lee. Yeah. It's like, my heart.
Yeah, this is also this is the first movie, because it's the first movie of 2019. They removed the 10. All last year, everything turned into 10.
Yeah,
it's no longer the 10. So I'm kind of hoping now they keep this entrance for like the next year or more.
So I believe they said that this intro is going to be with Avengers and Spider-Man.
It makes sense.
If not, it's at least with Avengers. I know that much.
That would make sense.
I think people are saying like Spider-Man's his last cameo, so
it
could be
because they filmed like 5 a couple years back, and the 5 actually ends with Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah. So there is that. So I mean, we will talk more about, like I said, Captain Marvel in the future, but now we're going to end this and go on to the main podcast, so make sure you guys tune in for that one as well.